Context data provided by Recovery Analysis Unit, or AU. The Neo-Vatican Congress was formed in 2043 with the alliance of a number of disgruntled, primarily sedevacantist sects from inside the Catholic Church. Sedevacantism was the position, held until that point by a minority of traditionalist Catholics, that the Holy See had been vacant since the death of Pope Pius XII in 1958, despite a succession of duly elected popes. Sedevacantists believed that this vacancy began with John XXIII, 1958-63, or at latest with Paul VI, 1963-78, who, they say, espoused the heresy of modernism and otherwise denied solemnly defined Catholic dogmas, and so became heretics. Agitation grew during the progressive pontificate of Pope Francis, with his more tolerant approach towards divorced Catholics, proactive approach to environmental issues, and exhortations against materialism. Dissent reached crisis levels during the Third Vatican Congress of 2035, which explicitly condoned the use of contraception to prevent the spread of disease, and to address overpopulation, which was impacting on the natural environment. In 2040, the first pioneering experiments that created Xenothor, the prototype of the Xenophon species, were carried out. When the Church refused to explicitly condemn and make illicit the creation of parahumans, the Sedevacantist Alliance Neo-Vatican Congress came into being. Establishing a headquarters in Aine, Switzerland, the organization appointed its own conclave and elected a new anti-pontiff, Pope Urban IX, previously Archbishop of Chicago. While until this point the Sedevacantist movement had very much been in the minority, the schism following the Third Vatican Congress and the birth of Xenothor was profound. More than a third of the Catholic Church's 1.2 billion adherents pledged allegiance and support to Avignon. The following is a recording of Pope Urban IX reading ex cathedra from his papal encyclical Natura Triumphabit, published 2045.
Dominus vobiscum, brothers and sisters, for today we are Atanius contra mudum. In Laudato Si, published 30 years ago by the heretic cardinal and papal pretender Jorge Maria Bergoglio, an unhealthy emphasis was placed upon the environment. Yes, the Lord has entrusted the earth to us as his stewards, but nowhere did the angelic doctor in his formation of natural law state that the good of the earth was to come at the expense of the good of man. Laudato Si did, however, contain one important kernel of truth, perhaps more relevant today than to the age in which it was written. It said, "The acceptance of our bodies as God's gift is vital. Thinking that we enjoy absolute power over our own bodies turns, often subtly, into thinking that we enjoy absolute power over creation." The Cardinal was correct. We do not enjoy absolute power over our own bodies, nor should we ever feel entitled to exercising absolute power over creation. We may not stifle the procreative function of the conjugal act. We may not toy with the very fabric of being and splice human DNA with that of frogs and fish. Man, as pinnacle of creation, has an inherent dignity and an allocated lifespan. When we are called to God, so we go to our rest, there to stay until the day of judgment, when Christ will come again in glory. Altering the fundamental substance of our being, undermining the preciousness and uniqueness of human life, is arrogance and evil. Charles Baudelaire was a sinful and excessive man in life, and yet he repented and turned to the Mother Church before death. His summation of the work of Satan is very apt for this moment in which we find ourselves. The devil's finest trick is to persuade you that he does not exist. The devil does exist, and his manifestations are clear today in the arrogance, pride and heresy of modern science, and even within the previously sanctified walls of the Vatican. The creation of the monstrous, unnatural creature known as Xenophore, has had the direst of implication for man's understanding of our bodies as divinely created. The sanctity of human life and on the very fundamental concept of our personhood. How can any of this stand in relation not to humans, but to parahumans, created in laboratories, neither made nor begotten? The Creator's hand is nowhere in their creation. Wrought from the arrogant hands of man in the name of progress. I call on you now, the faithful, in a world that has become faithless, to turn your back on the evils they call science. I implore you to be the final light in a world that is turning rapidly dark. Nikola Tesla, a man of science, suggested that we may live to see man-made horrors beyond our comprehension. That darkest of day has arrived. Pray, brothers and sisters, for our deliverance from this poisoned chalice. Extra excelsium nulla salus.